Do I have the agenda?
Good morning, colleagues. I see, Andre, that we are co-reading.
Correct, Chair.
Can you kindly do the roll call?
I'll do so, Chair. Thanks. Mr. Kigaba,
I'm here, thank you.
Mr. Mkutu,
I'm here.
Ms. Schlauser-Webster,
Present.
Mr. Mdluli,
Yeah.
I'm present.
Mr. Chance.
I'm present.
These are all members currently on the platform. Chair, we correct, so we may proceed with business of today.
Thank you very much. Can you please place the agenda before the meeting? Thank you very much. Can we just get a move and a seconder for the agenda?
I move. Yes, I move, Chair, that we adopt.
Thank you very much. Member Mdluli moves, and then the
I
seconder.
second, Chair.
The member Mkutu second. Thank you very much. Are there any apologies?
Chair, I have not received any apologies. I think Mr. Thling submitted an apology besides that, Chair. No other apologies. And Ms. Mosikasi is just joining the platform as well as we're speaking, Chair.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, colleagues. We have one agenda on the item, and I think, Andre, you are going to be leading us on the agenda. Is it correct?
That's correct, Chair, if I may. Chair,
No, just before you do that, I would like to request Member Malusi to Honorable Kikaba to chair on my behalf. I will be in the meeting. I'm attending another meeting so that I'm able to. But he will sensitize me via WhatsApp as and when I'm needed to comment. If that's fine, as we've normally done from time to time, so that at least there's someone who's steering the ship. But I am in the meeting. Member Kikaba, is that okay?
Yes, Chair. I'm happy to oblige.
Okay, thank you very much. Members, are you fine? Just intervention. I am in the meeting, but I'm unable to chair because I'm in another meeting. I just want to make sure that we protect the decorum of this meeting. Is that fine?
Thank you, Chair. It's fine, Chairperson. It's Honorable Busikate. I joined a bit late because I was struggling to come in.
No problem. Any problems, colleagues? Are we fine? Okay, seemingly we are fine. I'll hand over to Honorable Kikaba then. Thank you very much.
Thank you, colleagues. Good morning. Our agenda, as the chairperson has indicated, has got just one item, the consideration of the budget vote report. I will now ask for any apology. Oh, first, the mover and adoption of the agenda.
That has been concluded, Mr. Kigaba.
Oh, sorry. Yes. We
Yeah.
can then move to apology.
That also has been concluded. Apologies, Chair. We have Mr. Thling that submitted an apology. Mr. Gama also just joined the platform as we're speaking, Chair. So we have 8 members on the platform. We can proceed with the business.
Okay, thank you. I hand over to you then.
No problem, Chair.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Mr. Kigaba. Members, we have forwarded the report to members for the input and requested members to submit concluding remarks for consideration. We've received from the African National Congress a list of concluding remarks to consider. We have not received from any other party. So if through you, Mr. Kigaba, shall we say the concluding remarks for consideration by the members, because the full report was distributed, so we're not looking at the detailed report, but the concluding remarks, if that's in order, Mr. Kigaba?
Yes, I believe it is in order.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think it will be necessary to know by when would members, the other parties also be able to submit their concluding remarks.
Correct, Chair. Chair, we must note that the budget vote has been scheduled for the 4th of July, and mini plenaries is starting from Friday onwards. So if other parties still wish to submit, they can do so during this process, or they can do so after the meeting. And that means that we may need to meet prior to the mini plenary on Monday to conclude the business regarding the budget vote. But that I'll be guided by the committee in that regard.
Okay, so I think for now, let's go ahead. Parties will indicate, depending on the issues that are tabled before us, they will indicate if they need time, and therefore, if we need to schedule some other time to adopt to finalize the concluding remarks. But you may proceed with the presentation.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, we will take the committee through each point and request either them to input, and if there's no input, we move to the next point. And that's how, if that's in order, we will proceed like that. I'll read the first point, 5.1. The committee welcomed the revision of the DTIC's key performance indicators, ensuring that it aligns with government's priorities of economic growth, transformation and job creation, as well as the fact that they are more and these are more impact driven.
Recording
Chair, is
in
there any comments
progress.
from anyone on it or any changes proposed from any other parties to it, Chair?
Yes, let me open. Honorable members, in the absence of hands, I will presume we are fine with the first point. You may proceed.
The next point, the 5.2, the committee welcomed the DTIC's commitment to strengthen coordination with the Department of Small Business Development to enhance support for SMEs, particularly those owned by Black, women and youth entrepreneurs. It emphasized that effective intergovernmental collaboration is essential to avoid duplication, maximize impact, and ensure policy coherence in advancing the industrial development agenda.
Any comments, members?
I'm fine for now, Chair.
Okay, let's proceed.
5.3. The committee noted the steps taken by the DTIC to improve its internal coordination to make procurement more inclusive and accessible as part of a broader drive to reverse the low uptake of procurement opportunities by businesses owned by youth, women, and people with disabilities.
There are no hands. I think that's accepted.
5.4, the committee was of the view that infrastructure and logistics are critical to facilitate economic growth and would enable inclusive industrialization. This requires effective policy and intergovernmental coordination across different spheres of government and with the relevant public entities to address barriers in this regard. It therefore welcomed the national industrial policy that is being developed.
There are no hands. I take it that we agree with that point.
The committee acknowledged the DTIC's ongoing collaboration with key state-owned enterprises, including Eskom, Transnet, the IDC, Sasol, and Denel, to support the implementation of sectoral priorities outlined in the annual performance plan. This includes initiatives such as a joint effort with Eskom and the IDC to expand transmission infrastructure and participation in the National Logistic Crisis Committee with Transnet to address freight and port inefficiencies. The committee emphasized the need for more structured coordination mechanism to ensure that SOE's investments, infrastructure development, and industrial capacity are strategically aligned with the DTIC's developmental objectives. This alignment is critical to effectively leverage SOE's capital and technical expertise in driving reindustrialization.
I would like to add here, not only industrialization, but also enterprise development and the competitive supplier, enterprise and competitive supplier development. I think we've had a discussion about that, especially when the department indicated that SOEs were tentative in terms of their commitment to supplier and competitive development. So I think I would like to add that part because they've got a budget for it and it's part of their developmental objective, of their developmental mandates. Are there any other views, honorable members? I think we can add that part, Andre, and then...
It's added, Chair. Lufefe is, yeah, it's in order, Chair. Thanks.
Okay. So we may proceed.
5.6, yeah. The committee welcomed the DTIC's collaboration with the Department of Minerals and Petroleum Resources in developing the critical mineral strategy, which aims to increase value addition in the energy and related sectors and support a just transition to a low-carbon economy while meaningfully advancing mineral beneficiation. it requested the DTIC to consider, in consultation with the Department of Mineral and Petroleum Resources, a mechanism to monitor the level of beneficiation in the country, given the importance of beneficiation to industrialization.
I think it's agreed to.
Chair, I'll proceed with 5.7. And Chair, where you see the rate is just doesn't change the subject or the content, just we hope we prove the sentence. The committee welcomed the DTIC's commitment to consider the development of the proposed beneficiation index as beneficiation activities remain weak, despite the government's commitment to increase them. It also acknowledged that the proposed beneficiation index will improve the prospects of inclusive economic growth, especially given the extractive industry tend to offer high profitability margins when beneficiation activities are limited.
Any comments, members? I think it's agreed to. We may proceed to 5.8.
Given the importance of the steel industry for industrial and infrastructure development, the committee recognized the need to preserve domestic capacity for steel production. Therefore, it welcomed the multi-pronged approach to addressing challenges faced by the industry.
Members, I take it's agreed to. 5.9.
The committee noted the DTIC's assumption of responsibility for the Cannabis Master Plan and its commitments to advancing the commercialization of the cannabis and hemp sector. It welcomed the department's ongoing engagement with the Departments of Justice and Constitutional Development and of Agriculture to address key legislative and regulatory barriers, including the amendment of the Drugs and Drug Trafficking Act and the finalization of the cannabis for private purposes regulations.
I think it's agreed to.
However, the committee expressed concern over the delays in gazetting these regulations and the resulting impact on the cannabis industry to formal participate in the economy. It also acknowledged that the strategic intent of the draft Cannabis Master Plan to unlock an estimated 28 billion in economic potential and create up to 25,000 jobs, with a strong emphasis on empowering small-scale and previously disadvantaged growers. Mr. Chance raised his hand, Chair.
Mr. Chance?
Yeah, just a small typo there. Formal should be formally.
Yeah, formally, yeah. No, we've picked it up, Chair. Thank you.
Thank
As I
you.
later realized, yeah, formally.
Yes. Thank you. I think it's agreed to.
Yeah. Then 5.11, if I may proceed, Chair, the committee emphasized the urgency of finalizing the necessary legislative framework to support inclusive growth, industrialization, and a meaningful integration of cannabis producers into regulated value chains. Mr. Chance, Chair?
Mr. Chance?
Yeah, it's so important that you include hemp. Whenever you mention cannabis, you should also mention hemp.
Yes, correct, yeah. You are correct, Chair.
Thank you.
I'll proceed with 5.12. The committee acknowledged the continued growth of the global business services sector and noted that the revised job creation target of 4,000 new jobs reflects a methodological shift in performance tracking rather than a decline in sector performance. However, given the approximate 1.2 billion backlog in GBS approvals, it encouraged the DTIC to address the underlying reason for the backlog as soon as possible to ensure that the sector's expansion is not hampered.
I don't see any hands. I take it's agreed to.
I'll continue. 5.13. The committee welcomed the DTIC's identification of leading cities, Cape Town, Durban, Johannesburg, as key hubs for GBS growth, along with the emergence of Tier 2 locations such as Gqeberha, George, and Tshwane. However, further expansions to other areas will be required the provision of adequate infrastructure, talent availability, and township integration to drive inclusive job creation.
I don't see any hands. Agreed to.
Furthermore, the committee encouraged the DTIC to strengthen its collaboration with provincial governments to co-develop new support mechanisms that can help sustain momentum and unlock the GBS sector's full potential, particularly in light of current fiscal constraints.
I don't see hands. Agreed to.
5.15. The committee recognized the importance of investment into research and development as an integral part of industrial development and to address structural transformation more broadly. However, South Africa has had a relatively low rate of investment in this regard. Furthermore, the uptake of innovations into commercial products was a concern.
I don't see hands. Agreed to.
5.16, it welcomed the DTIC's collaboration with the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation in implementing the National Technology Commercialization Strategy, including the mapping of national innovation infrastructure. However, it expressed concern over the lack of targeted integration of these assets into sector master plans and broader commercialization initiatives.
I don't see hands. It's agreed to.
While the DTIC uses incentive programs such as SPY and TRIP to support technology development, industrial upgrading was acknowledged, the committee highlighted a persistent funding gap during the commercialization phase, which continues to be a critical barrier to scaling innovation. The committee stressed the need for enhancing coordination, increased investment, and strategic alignment of R&D infrastructure and funding instruments with South Africa's industrial transformation objectives. Therefore, it urged it to engage the relevant government departments, public entities, and private sector to fund mechanisms to bridge the gap to commercializing innovation.
Again, I don't see hands. It's agreed to.
5.18, Chair. The committee welcomed the DTIC's commitment to targeting investments in high technologically advanced projects to boost economic growth and exports. Further, it urged the DTIC to ensure that where artificial intelligence and robotics displace jobs, the creation of alternative jobs is stimulated.
I don't see hands. It's agreed to.
The committee acknowledged the DTIC's collaborative approach in developing the Digital Venture Capital Fund, including its initial research conducted with the Department of Communication and Digital Technologies, and the decision to undertake a global benchmarking study to identify international best practice. It noted the initiative's focus on addressing gaps in venture capital support to digital economic firms and promoting inclusiveness for startups in underserved areas, while also complementing the efforts of the Department of Small Business Development.
I don't see hands. It's agreed to.
However, the committee expressed concern over the relatively long timeline to publish the venture capital policy framework, particularly given the progress made by peer countries. It emphasized the urgency of finalizing the guidelines to enable access to funding for high-growth startups.
It's agreed to.
5.21. Furthermore, it welcomed the DTIC's recognition of the importance of regulatory and legislative reform, especially in relation to exchange controls and intellectual property protection, as critical enablers of innovation, competitiveness in South Africa's digital startup ecosystem.
Agreed to.
5.22, The committee welcomed that DTIC is exploring new export markets given the geopolitical tensions that are also impacting on global trade relations. In addition, it supported efforts to diversify the export basket to include more value-added jobs.
There are no hands. I take it it's agreed to.
It further acknowledged that due to the effects of climate change, there have been changes to national and regional policies to reduce the production of greenhouse gas emissions. However, these policies have a negative impact on South Africa's manufacturing sector, given its reliance on coal-generated electricity for production. Therefore, the committee welcomed the DTIC's efforts to negotiate with its counterparts to either exempt it from the imposition of these regulations or to afford it more time to transition to greener production processes.
It's agreed to.
Furthermore, it noted the DTIC's effort to balance the need for industrialization while exploring and facilitating a green industrialization path to mitigate the effects of climate change. This should safeguard the competitiveness of South Africa's industrial exports as more countries adopt similar climate mitigation approaches.
There are no hands. I take it it's agreed to.
In terms of trade relations with the United States, the committee noted that there was a risk to AGOA. There's a risk that the AGOA would not be renewed, but welcome government's efforts to develop and negotiate alternative arrangements with the United States. This includes reviving the Trade and Investment Framework Agreement to facilitate structured discussions on trade issues and to supporting vulnerable exporters and exploring alternative markets.
There are no hands. It's agreed. Oh, Mr. Chance?
Yes, I think that point 2 should actually be 3, 2 and 3. Supporting vulnerable exporters should be 2, and 3 should be exploring alternate markets.
Is correct. Yes, correct.
Yes. Thank you.
5.26 is just some corrections. In terms of addressing export challenges and resolving non-tariff barriers, the committee welcomed efforts to resolve non-tariff barriers affecting South Africa's citrus export to the World Trade Organization's WTO dispute settlement mechanism. It further welcomed the work being done by DTIC to update its export barrier resolution mechanism in this regard.
I think it's agreed to.
Mr.
Oh,
Chance?
Just a question from me. Why did you cross out and other agricultural exports? Why did you cross out?
We did a check on the website on the dispute, and we discovered it was only citrus, no other agricultural exports is currently before the WTO. But
I
only
see.
the
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we may proceed.
The committee emphasized the importance of forensic economic representatives in strategic trade missions. It therefore welcomed DTIC's focus on filling vacancies at prioritized trade missions and approving a framework to fill vacant posts, beginning with a phased recruitment targeting 8 strategic markets. It urged the DTIC to expedite the filling of these posts, vacant posts.
It's agreed to.
The committee welcomed the progress in implementing the African Continental Free Trade Area thus far. It also noted ongoing progress made in developing and concluding protocols under the agreement establishing the African Continental Free Trade Area, including the 2 protocols on competition policy and on women and youth in trade currently before Parliament. It encouraged the DTIC to conclude the processes on the remaining protocols that have been finalized at the African Continental Free Trade Area for ratification.
There are no hands. I take it it's agreed to.
The committee noted the development of a single access industrial financing portal to facilitate easier access to the DTIC's group industrial financing opportunities, particularly for SMEs and entrepreneurs. This could improve access to funding information and improve ease of doing business in this regard.
It's agreed to.
The committee noted that the DTIC was amending the implementation framework for industrial parks to improve the governance and economic viability.
It's agreed to.
The committee welcomed the DTIC's commitment to expedite the completion of both the first phase of infrastructure development at the Upperton Industrial Park, as well as the scope of work and support application for the Katu Industrial Park in response to the persistent rising levels of poverty and unemployment in the Northern Cape.
There are no hands. It's agreed to.
Chair, we propose the following reading for 5.32 in red, Chair. The committee acknowledged that 90% of the DTIC's prioritized 45 industrial parks are in underdeveloped, predominantly rural areas. These rural industrial parks often face infrastructure challenges which hamper logistical efficiencies and limit their integration into broader value chains. Therefore, it supported the DTIC's efforts to co-fund investments through the critical infrastructure program to address these infrastructure bottlenecks.
Mr. Chance.
Thanks, Chair. I think it's important to note also the committee's comments on the need to have a cross-governmental focus. In other words, many of these parks are actually not controlled by the DTIC. They're controlled by provincial and local governments. So I think it's important to mention the intergovernmental collaboration that's important on point 5.32.
Chair, Margaret's proposing that.
Yeah, I guess you could put it there. Yeah, that's fine.
That's correct, yeah.
Yes.
Let's go to place.
You know, Andre,
Chair?
I have a niece and she always asks me, Uncle, couldn't you have said this thing you are saying in simpler, more straightforward language that an ordinary person can understand? Because she says to me, politicians tend to, they have this convoluted language where instead of saying something straight, we'll go around. We emphasized that there should also be a focus on addressing coordination. And the issue that we are raising here is that there must be coordination. Can't we just say that? So instead of all these other things there, we just say, we emphasize that there should be coordination. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, yeah.
So my niece will be very happy with that.
No, just a side thing. When we do sit with some of the stuff, we always try, I always say, does my mother or Margot's mother or Sekwanda's mother, will they understand what we're trying to say? If they don't understand.
You must include my niece.
Okay, I would, from now on, we'll include the niece as well. Because that's normally what we're thinking. Well, our mothers understand what we're trying to say. And if they understand, then we'll be fine. But they'll be include the niece going forward.
Yes.
So yeah. So members are fine with 5.32 as proposed in the red, Chair?
Yes.
Okay. Then I'll continue with 5.33. The committee welcomed DTIC's commitment to developing a concept document detailing the implementation of SEZ-linked trade corridors and assigning the National SEZ Project Management Unit to lead the implementation, monitoring, and evaluation of these trade corridors.
We're good, I think.
Of incentives, the committee recognized that there has been a constant disbursement in major urban areas, leaving rural township and undeveloped provinces with limited funding. This concentration of disbursement contradicted government priorities of spatial in transformation, inclusive economic development, and revitalization of rural and township economies. Therefore, the committee welcomed the DTIC's adoption of a multi-pronged approach to broaden awareness of increased access and increase the impact of its incentive schemes beyond Gauteng, Western Cape, and KwaZulu-Natal, and the main metropolitan municipalities.
There are no hands. I take it it's agreed to with the changes in red.
The committee noted the progress made in developing the draft concept document on the Transformation Fund. It urged the DTIC to consider stakeholder inputs to strengthen the implementation model being developed to ensure good governance practices and effective monitoring of funds being dispersed.
I think it's agreed to.
The committee acknowledged the DTIC's planned legislative program. However, it urges to finalize outstanding legislative amendments such as the Patents Bills, Design Amendment Bills, Trademarks Amendment Bill, the International Trade Administration Act Amendment Bill, and the National Building Regulations and Building Standards Amendment Bill.
Mr. Chance?
You need to add the omnibus bill, Andre.
Yes.
In other words, the amendments to these the amendments will be contained within the planned omnibus bill, which has been promised to be tabled, well, not tabled, but submitted to us by the end of the financial year.
Chair?
Yes. Margot?
I assume that the fact that we're talking about long outstanding legislative amendments means that it's a legislation that is older, whereas the omnibus bill has only been mentioned recently, and it's not to say that these amendments will be included in the omnibus bill as far as I understood. So we might need a separate sentence then on the omnibus bill.
You may be correct, but you need another paragraph relating to the omnibus bill, I think.
Okay.
So, the committee welcome the initiative.
There was actually a listing of the bills that the acting DG just did give a few bills were potentially included in that omnibus bill. So
but it's also ongoing.
It's the focus on reducing the red tape and regulations across the governmental spheres, not just in the DTIC.
Okay, there we have that proposal, Chair. If that's members are in order with that, Chair.
Is that okay, honorable members? I think it is. We can go to 5.38.
The committee noted that some targets appear to have been overstated or miscalculated, and that the current review of the APP represents a missed opportunity to revise such targets to reflect actual implementation capacity.
I take it that's agreed to.
The committee recognized the impact of fiscal constraints on the ability of the DTIC to advance support for inclusive industrial development. It therefore supported the DTIC's efforts to investigate alternative funding sources to implement its budget allocation. In this regard, it encouraged the DTIC to pursue the matter with National Treasury.
I take it that's agreed to.
Given a perceived lack of accountability by some of DTI's entities to its executive authority, the committee remained of the view that the chief operating officer responsible for strengthening macro-level governance was critical given the number of entities under the DTIC.
Yeah, sure. Let me just ask a question. And this is the view of the committee. I support this wholeheartedly. The question is, given that the establishment of this post is a variable dependent on National Treasury and DPSA, particularly DPSA, which has up until now been saying no. What happens beyond this? Should we suggest what the department should do, or just leave it as this in terms of budget reports?
Can I make a comment, Chair?
Mr. Chance, yes.
I'd just like to know what whether there are equivalent positions in other departments. I mean, normally in a department you have a DG and then you have deputy DGs and chief directors. Is the chief operating officer a position that is recognized by the DPSA across government departments? What other departments have these positions, and what is the job description? I'm not sure we can put all that into the committee's report, but I just think, has there been any consideration of this, do you think, by the department in recommending that this position be filled?
My experience, you see, my experience is that I think we need to check with departments such as transport and other departments, because public enterprises had a different arrangement, because its sole mandate was shareholder governance on behalf of the state, and therefore the structure of the department was such that it dealt with this. It had an entire team dealing with transport enterprises, with energy enterprises, and dealing with manufacturing enterprises. And they had governance, legal, and financial capabilities that oversaw on behalf of government all of these entities. So it was a specialized skill, but the department as a whole was established for that purpose. So the question you are asking is relevant to the extent that other departments don't necessarily have the same structure. So how do they oversee the entities that fall under them? Perhaps we could leave it like this in this report, and then pick it up probably after the budget vote as a subject, because it's been quite clear. I mean, even if you look at how at the presentation of the first quarter reports results, that a number of entities did not meet their targets. And that's the question we ask them. Appointing boards is not enough, but even appointment of boards, board rotation, board retention, that entire philosophy, framework, and practice is dependent on the existence of a structure that looks at this, that guides it, that prepares for each entity. And some of the entities, by their nature, are supposed to have AGMs, but they don't. So, what is the arrangement at the level of the department to ensure that that happens? It's a very relevant question, Mr. Chance, that you are asking. My sense is that my suggestion is that we pick it up. Maybe we leave this as it is, and then we pick it up as an item afterwards to also look at what do we do in the context where there is still no agreement reached between the DTIC and the PSA on the establishment of this post.
Yeah.
What do we do moving forward?
Can I just comment on that, Chair? I think that's fair, but I would also suggest that we put into this paragraph that the committee wishes the department to come and explain the organizational structure and the performance and how to avoid performance and functional overlap between the chief operating officer and other senior DGs and deputy DGs.
I think
it's just having it for the record.
Yes.
In other words,
Yes.
I think it's important that we do that. I mean, the fact is the department is a highly complicated department with multiple entities, and we have seen organizational malfunction for many years, which needs to be addressed, and particularly this is a way of doing it. But we've got to be sure that it's not just ticking a box,
Exactly.
Would that be in order as we captured it?
That's fine for me.
I think the other issue is, what would we do in the instance there is still no agreement? What are we going to do to oversee the entities whilst there is still no agreement on the COO position? Because we can't just leave the matter hanging in the hope that maybe this financial year or next or the one after there be agreement. What happens?
Well, I think the answer to the question is that the existing management structure has to do the job
exactly
the best it can.
So when we meet with the DTIC, that's the issue that I mean, it's among the issues that we should seek clarity on.
Sorry, one other thing that this may be relevant here is that we have discussed quite early on, actually, is the organizational restructuring of particularly the technical infrastructure institutions. If you recall, the SABS, the NRCS, the MISA, SANUS, they were all split up, and it's causing problems. And I think that we shouldn't just be asking the question about the role of the COO, but also the structure of the department and the entities themselves.
Yeah.
It's actually another point. It's a separate paragraph, but I think it's an important paragraph.
Can you repeat it?
What I'm saying, Chair, is that in addition to the organizational structure of the DTIC department, we need the minister to report back to us on their organizational review of the entities.
Yes.
In view of the fact that there are significant budget constraints and there could be significant savings if they were consolidated, not to mention streamlined management. Yeah, I think just add to streamline management and reduce overhead.
Yeah. Because from the point of view of governance, there's no way forward. There's no progress. There's no movement. Okay, 5.42.
I was very concerned when the minister mentioned, in fact, it wasn't even him, he was evading the question. It was Jody Scholz that said the first meeting that the minister had with any of the entities with the NLC on the 11th of October, 3 months after he was appointed.
Yeah.
Shall we
That's
proceed?
just by the way, but it's you don't want to put that in the report, but it is an important, I think, oversight.
Yeah, I think we just need to have a focused session on the governance and oversight of entities. Okay, let's proceed.
The committee acknowledged the DTIC's implementation of the performance management policy aimed at strengthening accountability for underperforming departmental officials, with monitoring conducted through quarterly performance reports. The committee further noted the DTIC's process on finalizing shareholder compacts, which outline mutual performance expectations between the entities and the executive authority, including performance targets and the implementation of audit recommendations. I think those are all the proposals that we received, Chair.
Yes.
That concludes the ANC's submission, Chair.
Honorable members, I think Mr. Gama, Mlange.
I was born before computers, so it always takes a long time to. It always takes a long time to switch on these things, but can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. That's fine. I think let me switch off this one. Chair, I did not want to rein in on your charade. And I could not help though that you are as frustrated and as concerned as me on certain matters. The MKP's view is that we are basically born in different planets. And then we would want to celebrate that we've had a safe landing, but we've all landed at the airport, but we have landed at the wrong airport. But it is a safe landing, nevertheless. The fundamental construct of the APPs, as far as I'm concerned, is that they are there, but they will not do anything in terms of changing the lived experiences of South Africans because of the assumptions that have been made and what it tries to achieve. And in fact, even that which it tries to achieve, it does not achieve it in the manner that would have a higher impact if it was looked at differently. It's more of the same. So I am therefore saying to the committee, the MKP will reject this APP. My dimmed silence, we're discussing issues about dimming certain things in the House yesterday. My dimmed silence as we went through the 42 clauses does not mean that one will support the APP. So we will reject the APP because of its neoliberal, neo-colonialist construct, which we believe does not redress the issues of bringing the masses of our people into the economy. It does not go enough, and it's an important aspect from the different branches, whether it is the Social Employment Fund, the Transformation Fund, the Incentives Branch, etc., in the DTIC. So because of that, I just want to record that we've landed at the wrong airport. Nevertheless, we've landed. So I should not be deemed that I sat through the presentation and I said nothing. It's because I didn't think I should rein in on your charade. I think we're in different planets. It's fine. We'll continue to try and make input, but you will also feel the same frustration this time next year unless we fundamentally change the manner and way and the mandate in which this should work. But as for the APP, as for me and my house, we will reject it. Thank you.
Thank you. That's noted. And thank you for letting us know in advance. I suppose then, Andre, do now.
Chair, we have received the input of the ANC. You, at the start of proceedings, you indicated whether we should afford other parties who wish to submit, or whether they are all in favor and they don't wish to submit any additional concluding remarks for consideration, Chair. If we can ascertain that, we then know how to proceed going forward, Chair, because we just went through the concluding remarks. The report has not been formally tabled for consideration or adoption by the committee, subject to the engagement whether other parties still wish to want to submit submissions on the report, Chair.
Okay. Well, we've heard from MKP that they will not submit, they will just oppose. Mr. Chance?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I had a conversation yesterday with Andre and the committee staff, and I expressed my views on the report they had presented. Unfortunately, because of other commitments, I haven't had a chance to put in a formal set of conclusions, but having gone through what we did this morning, I'm satisfied with the outcome. Maybe Mr. And
Thank
Gludley would
you.
like to make a comment.
Yes, Chair. I'd like to echo the Honorable Chancellor's comments. I'm happy with the outcome, and there's nothing from my side to add. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Mjoli.
Ms.
So,
Webster,
Ms. Who?
Slaughter Webster, Bosa.
Ms. Webster? Ms. Slazo Webster?
She's not on the platform anymore, Chair. She was
Oh,
in.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we've had the majority members of the committee adopting the report, and therefore this is the report we will submit.
Chair, before we
Yes.
my apologies to interrupt, Chair. Can we just formally because there is no, we have concluding remarks. There is the committee not consider any recommendations, perhaps, Chair, that they wish to do, or would they just submit the report for consideration to the House for adoption without any formal recommendations?
Okay. Well, at the present moment, I don't think we've prepared any recommendations. I think we built them into the discussion that we had on various aspects. So, should we not take those as our recommendations?
No, Chair, those are purely
Okay.
concluding remarks. We have to be specific on what we ask and given the limitations to what we can do, because the House must adopt the recommendations, Chair. So the House can't assume that what we have in concluding remarks is a recommendation. So we either identify one or two critical issues, or our only recommendation will be that the House adopts the budget vote of DTIC, which will be a recommendation.
Can I suggest, Chair, that couched in the conclusions are several recommendations. Maybe what we should do is just extract the key ones, 3 or 4 of them, and put those into recommendations.
Chair, may I propose? Can I propose? My apologies, Chair. After you.
Well, I was going to suggest that it seems like a fair proposal, but let me hear what you are going to suggest.
Chair, I'm supposing that maybe we break for about 20 minutes or 15, half an hour, that we can just look at possible recommendations. We can prepare for the committee's consideration, if that would be in order.
Okay, honorable
And then
members, because
we rejoin at 11:30 again.
yes.
Yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, I think that you can go through the 42 odd paragraphs, Andre, and extract the key ones that then could be converted into recommendations as well.
Okay, so we join again, members, at 11:30.
Correct, Chair.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Do
Chair?
we log out?
No, you can. Yeah. We would actually no. Stay on the platform, Chair. We will find another forum to work on. It will be
Okay.
easy. Just stay on the platform. Thanks.
Okay.
Recording stopped.
Okay, honorable members, are we all back in? I've received notification from the team that they are ready.
It would appear members are still on the, all members are on the platform still, Chair. Shall we present it to you, Chair?
Yes, please, you may go ahead.
Chair, these are the proposed recommendations for the committee to consider. I'll read from the top, if I may. The Portfolio Committee on Trade, Industry and Competition, having considered the proposed 2025 budget vote 39, Trade, Industry and Competition, recommends that the House adopts the budget vote 39, Trade, Industry and Competition. In addition, it recommended that the House request that the Minister of Trade, Industry should consider developing a mechanism to monitor the level of annexation in the country in consultation with the Minister of Minerals and Petroleum Resources, and report within 6 months of adoption of this report. Shall I read all or shall we go one by one?
I think we should go one by one.
Okay.
Honorable members, proposal 7.1. Okay, in the absence of
Ms. Musakatsich's mic is
Miss, yes.
Okay, thank you, Chair. No, Chairperson, I just wanted to indicate that I agree with the recommendation on 7.1.
Thank you. 7.2.
Engaging the relevant ministries, public entities, and the private sector to develop mechanisms to bridge the gap to commercialize particularly state-funded innovations in support of industrialization, and report on progress within 6 months of adoption of this report.
Okay, I take that as accepted. 7.3.
Expediting the finalization of amendments to the framework for industrial parks to improve their governance and economic viability, and report on progress within 6 months of adoption of this report.
Again, there are no hands. I take it that this is agreed to. 7.4.
Expediting the finalization of the concept document for the Transformation Fund and report on progress within 6 months of the adoption of the report. Mr. Chance, raise your hand.
Chance?
Yes, I think that this should be amended. The concept document is history. We need to be focusing the department on the implementation plan and finance mechanisms and governance of the Transformation Fund. So can I suggest expediting the finalization of the implementation plan, cut out concept document?
Yes.
Comma, financing mechanisms and governance structures. Sorry. No, take out and. Comma, governance structures. And performance indicators of the Transformation Fund. And I think 6 months is too long for this, Chair.
Yes.
They've been at it for months. I think 3 months max.
Shall I read it 7.4 for everyone, Chair?
Yes.
Sorry, just one other thing, Chair, if I may. I know it's something that we didn't include in the report itself, but if you recall, we included it in the previous report, not on the budget, but on the APP, which was that we needed a review of BEE. I don't know whether we can maybe go back to the conclusions and just make a recommendation, because there's a lot of stuff that's going out there in the public domain now. Is BE working? Isn't it working? What needs to replace it? Does it need to be replaced? I think maybe we should just review that and make it a priority recommendation.
Okay. I guess the question will be whether we can include in the recommendations what we didn't raise in the report.
Yes.
No, I'm suggesting we do raise it in the report. We haven't adopted the report yet. We're only adopting the report once we've concluded the recommendations. So I think what I'm suggesting is that we put a paragraph in the report reiterating what was put in our previous report on the APP.
Are you referring to the previous APP of last year, Mr.
Remember, we adopted two reports. We had a fourth quarter report. It was actually it wasn't the APP. It was the fourth quarter report from the previous financial year, I think, or the first quarter. I can't remember, but there were two reports that we adopted a couple of months ago, each of which had a paragraph recommending a review of BEE. I can't remember exactly what they were, but I think it was the last two reports we adopted.
Mr. Chance, those reports are before the House, so those recommendations will be considered by the House when the matter is before the House. So it will be superfluous to repeat the same thing that's
all right. No, that's fine. Just so long as they haven't been presented to the House yet, and I guess this is a budget report, not a
yes.
Yeah, so that's fine. Let's just leave 7.4 then with the edits that we've suggested.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Chair, I will read it into the record, Chair. Expediting the finalization of the implementation plan, financing mechanisms, governance structures, and performance indicators of the Transformation Fund, and report on progress within 3 months of adoption of this report.
I take it that it's also agreed to.
Chair, now you need to have someone who formally move the report for adoption, and second, Chair, if that's in order.
Yes, can we have a mover for the adoption of the report and seconder? Honorable.
I move, Chair.
Oh,
Mr.
Honorable Nkutu moves. Honorable Msikati.
I second, Chair.
Thank you.
Any objection?
By Honorable Gama was noted. Honorable Gama.
Yes, it is then to say, as you move and you get the seconders, you then record that the MKP rejects the report.
Correct.
Thank you. Okay.
Any other?
Honorable Gama, when you reject, your IT works very quickly. Okay, any
Honorable Gigaba, I learned from this morning, so I am always learning.
You landed at the right airport this time, eh? Okay, honorable members, that was on a light note. So the report is seconded. Honorable Hlazo Webster. Okay, she's moved.
She's still there.
I'm here, Chair. I'm here. I just happen to be in two portfolio committees at the same time.
Okay.
I have no opposition to anything that has been said, and some of what I would have contributed was contributed by the colleagues.
Thank you very much. So, honorable members, the report is adopted with that objection from the MKP.
Thank you, Chair. So you will record the support for the adoption of the report for all parties, except the MK party in the minutes of the proceedings, Chair.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think that brings us to the end of the meeting.
Correct, Chair.
Okay. I don't know if the chair is able to hear, if you would want to officially close the meeting. Otherwise, I can happily usurp his powers so that we don't waste members' time. The meeting, members, is officially closed. Thank you very much for your participation. Please stay safe and warm.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Siyabonga, Baba Pickup. Thank you.